Welcome to the Breakup Recovery Podcasts by your host, Barbara Stevens. Discover the wisdom and remarkable insights of Barbara Stevens, breakup recovery mentor, author, and public speaker. Barbara offers programs and solutions for any breakup so you can turn your life around, create lasting changes for the better, and embrace life again.
Welcome to Breakup Recovery Podcast. Thank you for joining me. I'm Barbara Stevens, and Breakup Recovery is a podcast helping you recover from your breakup. In this week's episode, I welcome Jenn Burton. Jenn is coming onto Breakup Recovery Podcast to talk about dating, something we all find ourselves wanting to know more about after we have gotten over our breakups, separations, and divorces. So welcome, Jenn.
Thank you for having me, Barbara.
Jenn, we have so much to talk about in this episode, and I have had requests from listeners on this very subject. How to date again, how do you know when I'm ready, all of those things. But let's start with your own breakup story. Tell me about your marriage and the ending of it.
Well, quite simply, my husband and I, we had started marriage counseling throughout our marriage to try to make it work. But after years of marriage counseling, I decided on our 3rd year anniversary. We'd only been in this marriage for 3 years and had been in several years of marriage counseling. But I decided on our 3rd year anniversary that this couldn't be all that love's about, just the trials and the tribulations and the making it all about him and his wants and his needs and his desires. So at this point in time, we were actually separated, and we came back together to celebrate our 3rd year anniversary to see if, we could have a go at it, make it work. And after he left, I fell down sobbing on my knees, very dramatic. You can just visualize this in a very dramatic fashion. I'm on my knees and I'm sobbing, and I just pray, please send me a sign. Is this it? Is this all that there is? And at that point in time, and about 3 days later, I actually had a man randomly ask me out, and I hadn't been asked out in years. And at that point, I realized that maybe there was a lot more to love than it just being about the trials and tribulations. And well, actually, after a few weeks of reflection, I decided to officially ask my husband for a divorce. And that's when I decided to go ahead, since our marriage had been broken for so long, that instead of doing what most people would suggest of having a certain period of time where you grieve the relationship, where you take your time to reflect, I felt at that point I had done enough reflecting that I wanted to go back into the dating world right away. Plus, I knew that a lot of times they move on a lot more quickly, and I didn't want to be sitting there waiting to watch him move on, even though I already knew I wanted to move on. I didn't want that icky feeling around me as well, thinking that, I'm supposed to wait this certain amount of time to grieve this relationship that's already been over for so long. I'm going to go ahead and do what my heart is telling me to do, which is to immerse myself back in the dating world and do it in a completely different fashion.
And I think that's a question most people ask themselves. When or how do you know that you are ready to start dating again after you've been through a breakup?
And it's such an important question to ask yourself, Barbara. You know this. It's very individual. It's for some of us, as I was in my situation, the relationship's been over for a long time. You hold on to it and kind of beat it to death trying to make it work, but it's already gone, and it's just a matter of making it official.
So is there any preparation people need to do before they get back out there and date again?
Again, it depends. Let's say you're recently out of a breakup that you didn't realize was coming. It completely took you by surprise and maybe knocked you to your knees in a way that you've never felt before. I think the preparation then, of course, would be taking some time to reflect, to really care for yourself, to get through the sobbing moments of that, because those can be absolutely excruciating, and it's a very awkward place to date from, of course. But if you, like me, have decided that you are ready to move forward, then I think the best preparation you can do before you actually move back into start taking really good self-care is probably the best preparation you can do for dating, because you need a really solid foundation to put yourself out there. Dating, well, you're going to hear it from the girls club. Dating is a necessary evil. Dating is it's a means to an end. Dating has a whole bunch of negative connotation around it. But the truth is dating can be really fun. You can feel like a teenage girl again, waiting for your first kiss, and the anticipation and the butterflies and the excitement and the magic and all the craziness swirling around your head that feels so good. You can move back into that as dating as an adult and have a piece of that, but also have a very grounding experience at the same time that can lead to something really special if you're willing to take care of yourself along the way.
We'll talk a little bit more about the how-tos and what you can do, but tell me some of your dating experiences that didn't go so well and why.
Well, before I started dating like I did when I left my husband, a lot of my dating experiences were very poor and very crappy. I would, of course, meet a man and think that I'd line everything up in our head, how we were going to marry each other, and everything was going to work out perfectly and we'd live out happily ever after before we'd even been on date 3. I used to be the woman who would jump straight into the idea of this working out forever. And I never really let myself enjoy the dating process. So I had lots of crappy dating experiences. I met lots of men who I never heard from again. I would have what I thought was a great date, and then all of a sudden he was, just gone. So as far as really horrible dates, I don't have a lot of details for you on that. I just remember the feelings afterwards. And in fact, when I did ask my husband before I decided to do dating differently, that man that asked me out on that date, I ended up going out with him and I became very obsessed with him. So that's one of the things that self-care and really, trying to do something differently when you're dating and making sure that your heart's not too fragile is really important, because you can step into obsession, or what I like to call love sickness, very easily if you start putting all of your emotions and heart into something that you haven't built any stamina for yet.
I guess that would be one of the biggest mistakes people make then while dating.
Yes, it definitely can be. It can be one. One of the things I like to teach the women that I work with is how to date multiple men instead of giving their heart to one man right away until he's actually stepped up and asked for a commitment, because men will keep their options open for a while. Even if they say that they're only exclusively sleeping with you, they're still keeping their options open until they've actually asked you for an exclusive relationship. But women, on the other hand, our programming works a little bit differently. We are still kind of taught that once a man gives us any kind of attention, then he has our heart and we should focus all of our attention on him and shut down all of our other options, or he's not going to want us. And that is very counterintuitive to having a man step up and start to fall in love with you, because men, until they have decided that you are the one from them, they can't handle your undivided romantic attention.
What do you mean they can't handle it?
If you start hyper-focusing all of your attention on them before they've decided that they really want to be with you exclusively, your energy starts to work in a way that actually pushes them away. They are not very comfortable receiving that attention until they have decided, hey, this is a woman I would like to spend a considerable amount of time with. And then women in general, we start to act a little weird and this is something I'm highly guilty of, we start to act a little weird once we give our attention to a man, especially if he hasn't wholeheartedly committed to us. We start to make it all about him. We start to, try to figure out his schedule, his likes, how to hang out with his friends. And we never really invite him on our journey.
You were talking about a different way of dating, and is this your point of difference?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so What is the best way to meet someone that you can connect with?
Well, actually, there is no best way. I always recommend, especially for people new to dating, to put together a really great profile and do online dating. Key to that, because it never fails. I have women tell me I've tried online dating and it doesn't work. There's a huge key to that. You need to have a good profile, a well thought out profile, plus good pictures to completely change the dynamic in the experience. But truthfully, what I do and the women I work with is I help teach them to become and step into the role of what I call an adored woman. And an adored woman can meet a man anywhere. We use online dating as one avenue because there's a very large pool of single men, and it's a great place to be to go swimming. When you're having an amazing time dating, you can meet men anywhere. And in fact, I was having such an amazing time online dating. I met my current husband when I was actually out and offline. So it doesn't matter. And for the women I work with, it doesn't matter. I encourage using both options to meet men socially as well as online dating. But the point is to use it both places as a platform to explore yourself romantically and really firm up your good boundaries, how you take care of yourself, how you present yourself, and how much fun you have with men in general.
So when you do start dating, it's good to come from a place of no expectations.
I wouldn't say no expectations. I think if you want to get married again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get married again. I think it's better to come from a place of, I want to make this time different, and I'm committed to having more fun in my dating experiences than I ever have before. Because what I have found through my work and my research is that long-term chemistry is really based on how much fun the two of you can have together. So now that doesn't mean that we're never going to fall and skin our knees and have some bumps and bruises with our partner. That doesn't mean that at all. But the ability to reignite the chemistry between the two of you, because chemistry can ebb and flow, really is dependent on how much fun you have together. When you can come back to that piece of fun, you're able to reignite your chemistry, which gives you even better opportunities at a long-term love affair.
Do you think the word love is overrated? It's used too much and has lost its meaning, or it means different things to different people?
I definitely don't think it's lost its meaning. I think it's something very, very special, and I also think it means something different things to different people. Now, I do actually think that for some people it is way overrated. And so for some people who are disenchanted with love, they're going to have a completely different opinion than what I do on that. And rightfully so. They've had certain experiences. But just because you've had those experiences doesn't mean you can't circle back around and become enchanted again.
So you have a podcast called Single Smart Female. What is that all about?
Single Smart Female is my exploration with my partner in crime, Steph. We take questions from single females around the world about dating, specifically what I call mantourage dating, which is dating more than one man at a time until you find your forever man, or indefinitely if you so choose. And what we're doing is attempting to shake up the status quo for women in dating and bring something real to it, but something so much fun, because once you take, dirty out of dating being a dirty word, it's a completely different scenario that sets you up for having all the things that you want romantically.
Great. So you only work with women?
Yes, I do. Would you like to know why?
Yes.
But I found a long time ago that the real powerhouses in romance are women. We are the ones that have the true ability, when we have the right knowledge and the right frame of mind, to change the dynamic in romance. And men are amazing. I love men, and I speak very, very highly of men. I'm not the mindset of that we should, rip men apart all the time. But when men come to me and ask if I work with men, I have to tell them no, because I know that real change comes when we start, when I work with women, and when women start to own their power and what's going on in their lives.
So we do have male listeners on Breakup Recovery podcast. So do you have any tips for the male listeners when it comes to what to look for when dating, or even how to treat women?
Well, of course, I love hearing my guys talk about how they respect and care for women. And I know that a lot of them are very confused when it comes to how to treat women at times, and because different women want to be treated in different ways. And I think one of the best pieces of advice I can give to men is to continue to be willing to ask, because women differ and women change their minds. So as we evolve as women, something we may have loved years ago might evolve into something very differently. And if you are willing to keep that open dialogue with us, you're going to be extraordinarily surprised at how much we're willing to share with you.
And so with your business, how do you help women date, or is that the only thing you do?
Yes, I exclusively help women date, and I do that through a variety of self-study digital classes. Plus, I also have group coaching programs, and at times I open up the private part of my practice and work with women one-on-one.
So if people want to find out more about what you do, Jenn, or connect with you, where can they find this information?
I have set up something special for your listeners, Barbara, and they can find me at jennburton.com/breakup recovery. JENNBURTON.com/breakup recovery. And I've created a special link just for your listeners.
Thank you, Jenn. And what can they get when they click on that link?
When they click on jennburton.com/breakup recovery, they can get a free class on dating boundaries that make you irresistible and unforgettable. And make sure you don't go back into dating without your dating boundaries. They're very, very important.
Thank you, Jenn. That's very generous to give our listeners that special giveaway. And thank you for coming on Breakup Recovery podcast and sharing your own breakup story and giving us some tips and ideas and strategies to think about before we start dating, and what to look forward to when we can date, because that subject can bring up such negative emotions, and I think you've demystified that. You've made it not such a topic that we can be afraid of. So thank you, Jenn.
I appreciate you having me, Barbara, and I hope all of the women out there can take some comfort in knowing that dating, when done your way, on your terms, can be extremely fun, and it doesn't have to be a disaster whatsoever.
Thank you, Jenn.
Thanks, Barbara.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode number 110, All You Need to Know About Dating Again After a Breakup, with Jenn Burton. I hope after listening to this podcast that you have a few more positive insights into getting back out there and dating again after your breakup. Jenn definitely has given some great tips and ideas on the subject, and maybe a different way about thinking about dating again, how it can be done on your terms and it can be fun. It doesn't have to end in disaster. Make sure you go onto Jenn's website and download the free class on dating boundaries that makes you irresistible and unforgettable. The links will be in the show notes. If you think the information shared in this podcast could help someone you know, I hope you will tell them about Breakup Recovery Podcast. Share it with them so that they too can get some ideas and strategies and tips to help them through their own breakup. They can download it in Apple Podcast, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and my website. I would appreciate it if you could leave a review in Apple Podcast. I love to read the reviews. It keeps me inspired to continue and also shows me that people are listening and getting value from the content I deliver in each episode. We are fast approaching the end of 2017, and I'm going to be taking a hiatus for a few months. As you can guess by my accent, I live in Australia, and our summer is just about to start. This is the time of year when we go on vacation, spend time with our families, and that is what I want to do. So I've decided to take a break, and I will resume the podcast in late February of 2018. I've been doing the Breakup Recovery podcast for 2 years now without a break, and there are so many episodes for you to choose to listen to, which I hope you do. I have a few more episodes to complete before the middle of December, so please look out for these in the usual places you find podcasts. And the last thing I'd like to say is, be gentle on yourself. You deserve happiness.
If you would like to hear previous Breakup Recovery podcasts, visit barbarastevens.com.au. Connect with Barbara Stevens on social media with Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor on Facebook and at You'll Be Okay on Twitter. Read further blogs, view webinar replays, and download your free ebook, 3 Easy Steps to Surviving Your Breakup, and much more at barbarastevens.com.au.